official meeting. So let's hit that button and say hi. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions, and I'm sitting here with Sid February. Sid is back. Coming to you from the office, the trailer, and the guest house, all in one, in San Carlos, to join your fine, smiling faces. It's great to have you guys here. Hello, everyone. Has anyone brought any topics for today's meeting? Besides recommendations, I heard those happening before we officially started.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to San Carlos, Ed. Yes, you don't need to give us a weather report.
I will give you a report on the potential of in-person meetings. Sid and I went and had breakfast at Tequila's yesterday, and I talked to Caesar, and he made it very clear. Whenever we're ready to go, it's ready, except for Wednesdays. Wednesdays are closed. But I told him that we would probably start in-person meetings in March at the same time we used to do them, Tuesdays at 9:15. That means when we do start the in-person meeting, this virtual meeting will be pushed back an hour. We'll start an hour early. I hope that works for the folks that are here.
Why would you push it back?
Because we will start at Tequila's early in the morning at 9:15 again. Right now we're doing 10 o'clock, and we would move back to doing it 9:15, unless there's some reason to change that time.
I have no objections.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Bosses.
There you go. Okay, well, I haven't set a time, but I have checked out the work area. They've got a new fiber optic modem installed where we meet. And I tested data speeds in there, and it's plenty fast. So you'll be able to bring your devices. Good morning, Mom. Welcome.
Morning.
Morning.
Hi, Sid. You look a little browner. Did you get some sun?
No, I'm wearing a brown shirt.
He's surviving in the shadows.
In the shadows.
In the shadows.
No, I'm sitting in his office.
Scott, are you going to continue the internet version?
Yes, that's what we're talking about, is that I think I've got a plan for doing the virtual meeting and the in-person meeting at the same time. And I kind of like the idea that people aren't interested in meeting in person quite yet, because what I'm thinking is I'll go set up in person and make sure that and host a virtual meeting from Tequila's. So I expect all you folks to show up in the same capacity that you've been showing up and help me diagnose this until people start returning to the in-person meeting.
Why don't you try that next Tuesday?
Oh, God, yeah, maybe. I'm a little nervous to get started on it. Well, I'd like to start in March just for the symmetry. So you're saying next Tuesday, Tuesday the 1st. Damn it. That's really tempting. All right, I'm going to tentatively say right now that I'm going to do it next Tuesday. But I will not confirm until the moment beforehand.
Why don't you do a test hookup at a different time?
You know, I will do that, Fred. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll go in there on a Monday morning and do a test hookup.
Monday morning.
The big thing that I feel like I need to work on is how to maintain a balance between the folks that are meeting online and the folks that are meeting in person. So I tend to think that has to do with microphones and projection, like being able to put it up on a TV set so that we can see you folks that are online, and be able to capture the audio content that's coming from the other people at the table. That was always the big deal before, was it was very difficult to get to hear people on the recording, to hear their questions, things like that. And you'd suffer from the same experience because there's just not a good way to mic it, or there hasn't been. And so you might hear on your end just muffled commentary because not everybody's in front of a microphone. What was that?
Especially if you divide the tables up for distance between people.
Yeah, it's just, that's why I like this idea of doing islands where we have people that bring their equipment there. And so we can sit in islands around the space, kind of socially distanced islands, and each island would have somebody for that island would have brought a device, a tablet or a laptop, and they would participate virtually and in person. I like that kind of format. So that's what I'm encouraging, is that we try doing it in this style.
Also, when somebody asks a question, if you'll repeat the question.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great suggestion, Fred. In fact, that's what I found I had to do all the time when we were at the table, because on the audio or the YouTube, you couldn't hear what I was commenting to. So I would repeat the question. And other folks at the table, that long table, other people wouldn't hear what we were talking about from one end to the next, from this end to that. Well, those are all great thoughts, and we're going to go forward with this plan to come out in in-person meetings as well as maintain the virtual meeting. Did I already ask if anybody's got some? Do we have any tech that we have to solve? Any problems out there? Are you sitting in front of your computer, pondering an issue, and would like to hear the advice of others here? Yeah. Shout it. I see Jim's got his hand up. What do you got there, Jim?
Linda has been trying to upload some pictures to a blog she's been running for 8 or 9 years now, and recently she has not been able to upload pictures from her phone to her MacBook Air laptop. Bit of a hassle. It's almost as if the pictures database has been corrupted or has moved. Have you ever seen anything like that, Scott? Yeah, sure. And that's always a possibility, that there's something broken that's causing it to get jammed up. Is there a consent on iCloud? If you look in your iCloud, do you see a number of like a date that pictures had stopped syncing? If that makes sense. I don't know. Let me grab that computer and take a quick look.
I do this all the time, but mine's an Android, but I do it by connecting my phone to my computer.
Well, and that was giving. I really didn't intend for Jim to run off, and I just thought he might know. Because that's absolutely. First, we should know how they're. Hey, Jim, you don't need to get that invested in answering that question. If you can hear me,
No, what?
Well, more pertinent would be, how did she normally upload them? She would just take the pictures and they would sync to iCloud automatically?
Yeah, she would basically what she was doing was attaching a flash cord from her iPhone to her computer and would go through iTunes, I guess, and load it.
Okay, she
But
probably
in the last month,
it stopped
ahead.
working. In the last month, it stopped
yeah, in
working.
the last month or so, she hasn't been able to find them.
If she goes into iPhotos, she should be able to see her phone connected there. But
All right,
I've
let's
found
see.
this syncing of phones through cable to be like this at times. There's also an app, I think it's called Image Acquisition, that you should check and see if you can see the phone in that. So you should check and see if you're seeing the phone in iTunes. Check and see if you're seeing the phone in iPhotos. And then there's another Macintosh app called, I think it's Image Acquisition. In fact, I got a Mac in front of me. Let me see if I can deduce that. And it all has to do with the Macintosh.
Phone in iTunes, iPhoto. And what was the third app?
Image Capture. And all that's
Image
really
capture.
significant in debugging this problem is whether it sees the device. If it sees the device in all these different programs, then that's significant. If it only sees it in a particular program, that's significant. And then you might find that if you're not finding the photos in iPhoto, you might try a rebuild. I'm just pulling it out of my mind. I gotta actually bring it up on a Macintosh to know what I'm talking about. Hold on a second, Jim.
Okay.
While
Hopefully
you're
I'm
doing
not.
that, can I chat a little bit of how I do it?
Yes, please, Chester, give us a perspective from Android to Windows 10.
And what I do is I connect using the charger cable. I connect my phone to the drive to the computer, and then click on the icon that shows all the drives that are connected to the computer. Excuse me. Then I open the iPhone connection, and then download I just move the pictures from one drive to the hard drive on my computer, and then I take them into Photoshop and massage them. But I'm not familiar with Apple, but can you connect your phone directly to Apple and open the phone account in Apple?
I believe the answer is yes.
Because that should be able to take you to the pictures once you open the iPhone, or you have all the folders in the iPhone, and then you can find the pictures and then copy them into your computer. That's what.
Okay, I don't think that's possible on a Macintosh. I think you can take your iPhone and plug it into Windows 10 and do that. But I think on the Macintosh, it intentionally hides the device to be found by the applications in the system. I believe that. I believe that's the case.
Okay.
For some other
will
troubleshooting things, I was thinking about a rebuild of the photo database, but I guess that's not a thing. I can't find that in there. Some other troubleshooting that I would think of is when you go into iPhotos, it should show you that it's... No, I'm sorry. Everything I'm thinking about has to do with iCloud syncing. And I mean, that's the way people are doing it now. They have the storage in the cloud, and so you take a picture off the phone, and you don't even do this connecting a cable anymore. It just syncs to the cloud, and then you go to your computer, and it syncs on your computer. And so the cable is kind of a real retro way of doing it. We still do it.
Okay, so what you're saying is at night when she turns the phone off and syncs it with the cloud, then the next day go in to iCloud photos.
Yeah, if she's paying for iCloud service, By like for $1 a month, you end up with 50 gigabytes in the cloud, and you'd have to turn on your photo syncing. You'd turn on photos under the iCloud account in settings. You put a check mark next to it. And then what happens is you take a photo, and at the constraints of your settings, like maybe you have to wait until you're in a Wi-Fi pocket, but the phone will go ahead and upload those pictures to the cloud. And then later when you go to your computer and you sit down in front of iPhoto, those photos are being synchronized down from the cloud. And so you don't actually move from the phone to the computer. You move from the phone to iCloud to the computer, and vice versa. You can have photos on your computer, and they'll sync up to the cloud, and you'll find them in your galleries of photos on your iDevice. The cable should still work. You should still be able to do that. But this issue of finding your phone and then having it sync correctly is definitely a problem in the Mac OS ecosystem. I feel like they're not worrying about improving its stability. Whereas before it was the only way we did this stuff. They've focused on these cloud services that they can sell you, and that's really tight. Whereas the cable, I've run into those issues syncing iPods, syncing iPhones, where one day it sees it, the next day it doesn't. You go through a series of reboots. You might try zapping the PRAM. When you turn off the computer, zapping the PRAM is one of those common things a Macintosh computer user should know. When you start up the computer, you hold down the Command key, the Option key, the P key, and the R key, and you'll hear, depending on your operating system, you may or may not hear a chime, but you'll see an apple, and then the apple will flip away, and it'll be like the computer started again, and you'll see the apple again. And I typically wait for 2 to make sure that I did it. You hold Command, Option, P, and R for programmable RAM. And what that does is it flushes out whatever's...
Okay, Command,
Option, P,
go on.
as in Paul, R as in, P as in programmable, and R as in RAM. And when you so you hit the power button, you hold those 4 keys down, you don't let go of them. Depending on your operating system, you may or may not hear a chime, but you'll see an apple. Keep holding them. The apple should disappear. Keep holding them. It should feel like it all starts again. And when you see that apple again, I typically hold it again, because I like to make sure I want to make sure it happened. So I'm double duty. I see the apple again, then I release the keys. Now what's happening on a Macintosh is that it's starting up and it's re-identifying the hardware of the computer. And
Okay.
And so that identification, it reassociates all its identification numbers, for lack of better terminology. It does its settings for the hardware it finds get rewritten into BIOS. And then the very next time you start up the computer, it just reads it out of the BIOS and starts up slightly quicker. And this will resolve a lot of hardware. Command, Option, P as in program, R as in RAM, or R as in Raoul, or ridiculous, or ratatouille.
Letter P and letter R?
That's correct.
The letter keys on the keyboard.
That's right.
We're talking same time. You're saying the letter key P and the letter key R. Okay.
Does it matter whether it's capital or not?
No, but interesting enough, the Command key and the Option key are modifier keys. They don't do anything by themselves. And so you're holding those down and you're pressing P and R, but in this case, you're holding P and R as well. So you're holding these 4 keys. You want to make sure you press modify keys first. So you hit the power button and you hold down Command, Option, and you quickly press down P and R, and you hold all 4 keys down until it goes through that flash of restart, and then let go of them. And And what this really,
Okay.
it just flushes out the possibility of something getting corrupted in that settings, and you're rebuilding that settings again. And because you're using a cable, this might solve the problem, because the cable is directly related to adding hardware to the computer. And that's what these settings are, is it's how it sees hardware that it's connected to. And so when you're solving the problem of this cable, this is a very easy thing. Any Mac owner should know how to do is zap the PRAM. The other thing
Zap
that
the
a
PRAM.
Mac computer user should know is how to run disk first aid.
All right.
And if you go up to the search in the upper right-hand corner and you type in disk, you'll have a disk utilities pop up in front of you, and click on that, and that's what you use to work on the hard drive.
Okay.
And depending on your operating
Now,
system,
which search window am I going into?
well, this is on the Mac. In the upper left-hand corner,
Yeah,
or upper
it's
right-hand corner, there's the magnifying glass. I think it's magnifying glass.
I see it.
Yeah, and if you click on it, you just type in disk, and in its search below where you're typing, it's gonna, or next to where you're typing, it's gonna say disk utility. And this is the program that you use
I got it.
to check the hard drive. On
Okay.
this,
Got it. I see it.
yeah, so you use that utility, it will show you your hard drive. You select on your hard drive, and there's an option to run a program called First Aid.
Okay.
And you just run that. And what it does is it goes and it clears up common hard drive problems, like file structure issues, corrupted file chains. It scans for these things that may be causing problems in the system, and it resolves them. It also takes a health survey of your hard drive in general. So if it has any problems doing this, it'll red flag your hard drive and let you know there's some major problem with it. And so this is another very common
Okay.
on a Macintosh. So these are two different ways to solve a majority of problems people have on the Macintosh computer.
Okay, now where did you find the disk first aid? I went to, oh, there it is. I see it. I see it.
Yep.
Up at the top. First aid,
That's right.
partition, etc.
So you select the drive, your hard drive. I'm trying to bring it up on my Mac. I'm sorry I can't show it on the screen. The Macintosh is not connected to the show we're rolling here. But yeah, you would identify your hard drive in the left column by selecting on it. You'd select it, and then you'd choose the first aid button in the upper bar. And if you don't see a first aid button, you've probably got a really older Macintosh operating system. And then it would have language like verify and repair, like two different buttons.
Yeah, well, mine does have the first aid and partition.
So that's, I would try doing those two things and then going back to exactly what you were trying to do before.
Excellent. I'll report back next week. Thank you.
You're welcome, Jim. Great question.
Now, for Android users, Microsoft has an app called Your Phone Companion. And so it just links the phone to the computer with Bluetooth.
Yes, I've been using it. I have not been using it for photos. Have you been using it, and are you happy with it?
Yeah, I can go to my computer and find a photo that I want to email to somebody with the phone, and it works fine. I haven't done it lately, but I was surprised how easy it was.
Yes, the original app was very error prone, but the most recent updates to it seem to be very stable. And if you're not familiar with what Paul's talking about, this Your Phone app is from Microsoft for Windows 10 or 11, and it lets you connect your phone to your Windows desktop so that you can receive calls, make calls, get notifications, all on your Windows computer. And what Paul's talking about is you can also look at the photos that are on your phone. And this is where I must not be using it at all like you are, Paul, because I never use that feature. I've not brought it up. I didn't even realize that you could tell it to email from that feature.
What's the name of the program?
You can move the photo onto the phone or from the phone onto the computer.
It's called Your Phone. It's called Your Phone. It's from Microsoft. It may even already be installed in your computer per one of their updates.
It's Your Phone Companion.
Your Phone Companion, that's not how I have it listed, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm bringing it up right now on my screen here. And it's just taking its own sweet time. But that's me, not you. We're just waiting. I'll go back to it when it comes up. But this allows you to see the calls that you've done on your phone, on your desktop computer. I think it just crashed on my computer. Again, it's me.
Documents, photos.
You can see the photos. You can see files. You get your notifications when it's running. Oh, that's another issue here. I probably have no notifications turned on. So when you get a WhatsApp, it goes into the notifications bar of your Windows 10 PC. If you get text messages, when you're getting a call, it rings up. But my computer doesn't want to run it at the same time as I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah, if you get a phone call, you answer it through the laptop, through the audio of the laptop.
Oh, that's cool.
My car operates that way, where I have the phone connected to the sound system in the car.
Yeah, maybe this is that's a good analogy for this. This is, you're sitting in front of your Windows 10 computer often enough, your phone is sitting there, you've got on a charger, and you just don't want to leave your Windows experience. You can just have all that information popping up on your Windows computer, and you don't have to reach over to the phone.
I'm going to try it.
Your Phone by Microsoft. If you don't have it on your computer, then it may be in the, well, no, I know it is. It's in the Microsoft Store. But it's mad at me right now because I'm trying to record and broadcast and talk to you guys for some reason. It does not want to run in my computer. But it's been running side by side with everything else I've been doing without any real problems. You have to have Bluetooth on. Go ahead, Paul.
You just don't like to perform when you're trying to demonstrate something to somebody.
That's right. It knows what I'm trying to do. I'm giving it one more chance to work, and then I'm giving up on it.
While you're doing that, I'll tell a little story from yesterday. I was driving to the airport to pick up someone, and they sent me a text. And of course, my audio system in the car picked up the text, but it wouldn't let me read it because I was driving. And so, but it did give me an icon that I could click on, and it would call the person back on the phone, and I could talk through the speaker system on the phone, but I couldn't read or give a text message. Kind of fun.
Well, that's funny. Yeah, we were talking about a couple of weeks ago about Teslas being able to order their own parts. And now you're talking about the car recognizing you're driving so it doesn't want you texting. It's an interesting area we're in right now.
Interestingly, when I stopped at the airport to pick up the passenger, it would then let me read it.
Oh, well, that was nice of him.
Well, it's like the car
Oh, that's
players
funny.
that were real popular for a while. If the car was in gear, they would shut off. And that was the way they were supposed to be installed. And it's the same kind of thing with the text messaging now. It's a safety feature in your computer in the car.
It's a breathalyzer. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a car breathalyzer for texting. And I feel that
A textilizer.
as a guy that works on the side of the road, I think it should be in every car. There's nothing like
My
watching
car
that guy go
comes
right
up,
into a snow.
Ask me,
So Scott, in addition to artificial intelligence, is there artificial stupidity developing and evolving?
I think that's obvious, Paul.
Yeah.
Well, that's like when you're operating a computer and it says error between the screen and the chair.
Right.
when I'm driving, my phone sits there and will get a message and will ask whether I'm driving or am I a passenger. And if you say passenger, it lets you have it. If you're driving, it doesn't.
Well, that's much more intuitive. I actually think that, and I feel like I've experienced this. I haven't used the Google Drive app for a while, but it would offer to read me my text messages. So it would have the Google voice, and it would say, you have received a text message, and then it would proceed to read me the text message, which I think is the best of all worlds, right? Like I can't read it because I'm driving, but it's being read to me. So it's not being shown on a screen, but I can hear it. I haven't used that app in a long time now, but I remember I was able to answer text messages as well, because it would ask me, do you want to answer? And if it was a simple yes or no, or I'm driving right now, I'll call you back, it would send that message back to the person texting me.
It may be my experience yesterday would not let me answer because there was no one in the passenger seat. In other words, that seatbelt wasn't connected.
Oh,
So
that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, it would be interested to see what happens if I had a passenger with me and we received a text message.
Yeah, no, it would be, geez, wow, Chester. We totally have that information, don't we? Because they do check and see if the seatbelt has been plugged in. And you can bet with the black box mentality of the cars we're devising now, that information is recorded somewhere. And so it's a metric that decisions could be made on. Just like when you've got the sign that sees weight in the seat, and it's the airbag activation or not.
Seatbelt.
Yeah, my car works that way.
Put a 25
And you
pound
can't
bag
use
in it.
seatbelt extensions because of that, and you can't put any kind of a cushion on your seat.
But I can just see it as a data point in a database in the car that could be pulled and made decisions off of. That's really interesting.
Oh, it's kind of amazing what your car monitors.
Yeah, they've got black boxes like airplanes.
But yeah, I deal with it all the time. You put 25 pounds of books, grocery bag, whatever, tools on the passenger seat. And if you're not paying attention, in about 2 minutes, that stupid bell's going to be dinging away.
Well,
It's like when a big dog crawls up on your passenger seat, you got to belt the dog in.
That or get one of those silencer things that click into the seatbelt. They work.
So has anybody had a chance to look at the document that I so tardily sent out this morning? I know nobody's probably had a chance to look at these articles, but I did include a couple of news stories I thought at least would be interesting to our group. I've stuck the link in the chat, so if you're looking for the document, you can find it quickly in the in-call messages. And I just wanted to see if anybody had heard about this husband-wife team that they discovered the feds have seized $3.6 billion in Bitcoins. They are alleged thefts of three. I guess it didn't start out that way. Apparently they stole it back in 2016. And they've been sitting on it until the value went up. If you haven't been paying... Go ahead, Jester.
They had moved that something like 2,000 times using different aliases and different accounts. And the feds were able over a long period of time to trace every one of them. And they finally caught them because of a $500 Walmart gift card. And that's why they've been working on it for years. But he bought his wife a $500 gift card and used one of the... They not only got the coins, but they also got money, $500,000, and the government was able to trace the dollars when he bought that gift card, and that's how they got the 3.6 billion back out of, I think, original amount was 5 billion that they stole from one of the servers.
It's fascinating. I think I apologize, Chester. I know no knock on you, but I think you've de-emphasized the point that it was the identification of the people that took so long to figure out. Tracing the money, tracing the transactions through all these anonymous Bitcoin wallets was only made possible by the technology itself, something that we actually have a lot of trouble doing with actual cash. But in terms of, like, a lot of people like to associate Bitcoin with sketchy behavior, anonymous activities. But these people were able to take these Bitcoins without us knowing who was associated with that wallet, stick it through thousands of different wallets to try and masquerade their behavior with these Bitcoins, and got caught in the translation of Bitcoin $2. It became identifiable. And that's the reason they were able to find them. But they were able to watch where all that, like 2,000 wallets didn't matter. They were, because of the essence of Bitcoin, they were able to see every one of those leaps and tie them all together. And it's this identification portion that is so crucial at the moment, because as soon as they make that jump, then everything else is tied together. It's
maybe they cashed in some Bitcoins for dollars, but there's a $500,000 that was involved in the transaction, and my understanding is that the Walmart, or I think it was Walmart, that somehow or another recognized the money was not normal, and called the FBI, and that's how they got their names, I think. At least that's what the Wall Street Journal reported. But I have to admit that I was very impressed with the government's work.
Yeah. I think the IRS has a big department now that's just spending their time going through the Bitcoin log. Gosh, what is it called? I should just know. The unmutable blockchain. Thank you. Blockchain. The blockchain. That's their whole job, is ferreting through the blockchain and making connections and speculating on how these transactions are attached to each other. What?
The thing with the card from Walmart is, if you use the card you bought with the Bitcoins, they can trace that back to you really easy. It's what the criminal world does. There's a great book out there called Money Land. They talk about this. They'll take the Bitcoins they get, they'll buy all these gift cards, and then sell the gift cards for cash at a reduced rate so they can get rid of them real quick. And that's the way people make money on this without getting caught. But if you use the card you bought, your name's attached to it.
Oh, I just got it. So they would sell the Bitcoins. No, I missed it.
You buy the gift cards with Bitcoin under a false name.
Okay.
Your false name wallet, you buy the gift cards, and then you take the gift cards and you walk out on the corner and go, hey, I got a $100 gift card I'm selling for $75.
I got you. Yeah, that makes sense.
And you get rid of the cards that way and you get cash. And that's how they launder with the gift cards.
And that's why you want to use some false interface between the Bitcoin and it. So
I gotta get you a copy of that book.
all they would have to do is be associated with the Walmart card or be associated with the Bitcoin address that bought the Walmart card to make the
It's
connection.
like the old system of tracing marked money, or where they've got the serial numbers for the bills from a bank robbery. If you spend that money, they can trace it to you.
Sid, you got to tell me the name of that book again so I can write it down here.
I gotta look. I think it's
Moneyland? That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, there's a podcast. Here's a recommendation. It's called the Underworld Podcast. It's these two journalists. One guy's from New York, and the other guy's from Berlin. And they go to some of the most criminal, stupid places in the world and do interviews and track down these criminals, and they do a lot of stuff on the show. The show's about what they find in different places. And they have this
Yeah. Well, I think at the very least, this is a very interesting example. I wonder if this is kind of a high-profile case. I wonder if things like this are getting put out there to build confidence in cryptocurrencies as for a source of tracking. Since cash has proven to be so difficult to track at times, whereas Bitcoin tracking is built right into it. It's part of the essence of the money.
Well, you have to admit this was a major transaction.
I'm always impressed that the government thinks that they can reclaim the Bitcoins themselves. Like apparently they auction off the Bitcoins. So they deal with them like they're a commodity. The Bitcoin investors come to them and they fight for the coins at different prices. What impresses me is that the government has the ability, after all this has happened, they've been able to not only make this case, but they've been able to collect the Bitcoins in a manner that they can pass them on for value. And I still don't quite understand how that works. Because in my mind, they have to leave the thieves' wallets and go into the government's wallets for them to have that kind of control. Because as far as I understand, it all operates decentralized on the same level. The U.S. would have a wallet just like you'd have a wallet, Chester. And so for it to be sold to you at auction, they have to already have control of it. And my mind just breaks down around that. I can't wrap my head around how the government's able to do that. I can only imagine that there are times when I can only imagine there are times when a wallet's left open. And because it's left open, like the password's already been entered, because it's really what we're talking about. We're talking about a safe that is uncrackable to get inside to the gold, and they left the door open. That's the reason the government is able to collect these Bitcoins. In my way of thinking about this technology, it's a user implementation problem that allowed the government to collect the Bitcoins. Does anybody have a comment on that, or know better than I do, or heard something different?
Well,
Sid, go ahead,
I'm
Chester.
purely speculating, but because the Wall Street article did not discuss that, but it would seem to me that it's a question of proof. If you have to go through thousands of names and all, you somewhere along the line you've got a credibility problem on the government's behalf. But they were able to somehow or another get a hold of that $500 gift card and prove where it came from. So I think evidence was a pretty important aspect of how this was done. That's just my observation.
Well, I agree with you, Chester. I think the breakdown is when you get down to the technology. This is what I'm talking about, is like you can have all the evidence, and what you could have is you could have a locked wallet worth $3.6 billion, and without the password, it's meaningless. Without having access to it, it's just a little bit of storage space on a hard drive. There's no way to pull those Bitcoins out of there. And that's where it breaks down for me. I can see government seizing assets, like a car, like a house, like gold found under a bed. But this is more like gold found in a safe that's impenetrable. They can collect the safe, but they can't get at the gold. And obviously a thought exercise, because eventually you're going to be able to open a safe, something that's physically, eventually you're going to find a way to open that up. But at the moment, we don't have a mathematical way to open up something that's been correctly implemented. We don't have the processing power to brute force a Bitcoin wallet to pull those coins out. And so the only thing I can imagine is that they're finding these people poorly implementing the final end of this journey with these Bitcoins. Like they're literally finding an e-wallet with the password already saved in it for convenience. And that's why they've been able to transfer them to a government account. Sid's passed me. It's the book is called Moneyland, The Inside Story of Crooks and the Kleptocrats Who Rule the World, by Oliver Bolloy. I've never heard of this author, but it sounds like an interesting read. An economist book of the year. Interesting. Moneyland talks about how, like you were saying, how they do these frauds.
Money launder frauds, how criminals move money around the world.
I bet the answer's in there, isn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
You could probably go online and pull up the article from the Wall Street Journal. If you could, it'd be an interesting read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For you.
The FBI always says so much on how they investigate stuff like that to kind of keep open that, well, we can still get away with this because we didn't tell anybody how we did it.
From what we know about encryption technologies, I'm obviously not an encryption expert, but from what I've read, the math has been simple to make this idea of breaking it very complex. Something that you can do on your phone can be so complex it needs a room of servers and years of processing to try and just brute force through it. And so it's so hard to believe that you could break through the math as it is. And the moment that it becomes easy enough, they add one more digit to their encryption, and now it needs twice or three times as much processing. Hey, we have run to the end of this meet. We're watching it count down seconds. I'm going to start the next meet. Please join me over there. The link code is in the document. See you soon. The Coin Bureau, crypto with the hype on Apple Podcasts.
Tells me how little you listen to check your messenger.
Well, what are you telling me about? Does it have the answer we were?
These guys do a lot of stuff on crypto.
Oh, okay.
We've got a couple episodes. How this stuff works.
We're letting everybody in right now. Let me do it. Because I've been trying to find this on the audio. So that this transition, I like cutting it out. But I can't find it anymore for some reason. So I'll give a clap. See if I can find the clap. Hello, hello. That was quick. Is that everybody? Any stragglers? Anybody missing? It looks like we're all back online.
I don't see Cheryl.
Bill, where'd your Cheryl go? Is she still with us?
Yeah, she can hear it, but she's wandering around doing stuff. We have a doctor's appointment at noon, so we're kind of wandering around here. We can hear you.
Okay. Here she is jumping on Chester as well.
Oh, Cheryl's back.
All right.
Hey.
The trailer house behind you, is that where you're staying now?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It looks gorgeous.
It's pretty cool, Bill. Pretty cool, Bill.
It's where is it? It's right alongside.
I'm still in the Mexico house.
Oh, he's got to teleport something out there.
Oh, there you go. Bill just stepped through the Stargate.
Ah.
No, that's
It is an aquarium.
I did not suspect that. Well, it's because you guys are always surprising us.
Okay, Scott, I got 2 points for you.
That's a menacing pose of Bill's, isn't it? With that in the background and him hovering over his seat. He looks like he's really looking down on us. Ah! It's like coming right through the screen.
Yeah.
So what's your points, Bill? You said you have 2 points.
Interesting. One, I somehow converted over to Windows 11 and I can't see any difference. And number 2, my Linux stick doesn't work at all and I need to talk to you.
Okay. Doesn't work at all.
Well, I've tried all combinations in the BIOS that I can think possible that might have something to affect it. I suspect that maybe my computer isn't recognizing what you put on as a boot track or something. Something's different.
But you see the USB hardware. Like if you go into your BIOS, you should see the USB hardware read. All Windows should be able to see as a blank disk.
Yes, that's what it sees.
Yeah, and so Windows will not see that Linux partition. But when you go into the BIOS, you should see that USB drive in your boot options. So you should see your.
What I see, I see the solid state drive when I go to the drive available drives, and I see a USB stick. And when I open it up, all I see is the 2 dot, and then underneath it the dot. The directory and the root directory or something. But I don't. There's nothing there. It will not see it in the boot system.
Okay, I'm surprised that it's even showing you anything under. Like in the BIOS level, you just want to see the hardware level, not the format or the partition. Well, I guess, the partition, at least the root of the partition would be represented, but it would be nonsense. It wouldn't care whether it was Windows or Linux or anything like that.
Okay, but I cannot select it as one of my options in the boot, in the boot system. Anyway, you and I
we'll have to get together with it again because it's got to be a matter of that boot identification that's the issue. And what was the other thing? You said it was the USB stick and...
Oh, no, I've converted over. I'm in Windows 11 now.
Windows 11, that's right. Did your new computer said it was a Windows 11 compliant and gave you the option to upgrade for free to it. And any of you running Windows 10, if you've got the latest updates and you go into Windows Update, you'll see a message telling you whether or not you can update to Windows 11. Bill, you said you didn't see any differences. I'm surprised because I think seeing is the only differences. Like the underground foundation, and I'm just poking a little bit of fun, but the motor, the wheels, the drivetrain, everything is Windows 10, and it's just the paint job that has really changed in Windows 11.
To be honest, there might be some cosmetic changes, but everything else seems to operate the same. It looks pretty much the same. I haven't had a chance. I've been fooling around with the BIOS more than anything, so I haven't had a chance to take Windows 11 for a real drive either.
I think if you start using the right mouse click context menu, if you ever used that before in Windows 10, you're going to see some dramatic changes in Windows 11 because they've removed a lot of those easy to reach things that a lot of people never used. I think that Windows 11 it actually is kind of cumbersome to get started with from a power user's perspective, because a power user has found their ways of getting things done in Windows, and it might be this eclectic maneuver that only 1% of Windows people use, and it's those eclectic movements that Windows has removed, trying to consolidate into a kind of lowest common denominator of functions for your average Windows user. I also have heard talk about those eclectic things being allowed to be turned back on by power users. So when you click with the right mouse button and you don't find the thing you're used to seeing in that menu, ideally, at least in the future, there may be a checkbox in a Windows settings option that allow you to bring that stuff back. I wanted to tell you that there is actually something odd going on. Windows 11, there's an article in Tech Radar about Windows 11 is set to warn users if their PC should not have Windows 11 on it. And this stems from people installing Windows 11 on computers that Microsoft or Windows is not recommending. I'm going to paste this link into our chat here. This is fascinating because it goes against what I've been thinking, is that there will be a perpetual Windows 11 operating system you could install in your older system, though you would have to agree that it's not as safe as buying a new computer. And I heard a lot of talk about it. I still believe that's what's going to happen when all this is said and done, when everything shakes out. We're going to be at the end of support for Windows 10, and there's going to be computers that don't meet Windows 11 requirements. And I believe that Microsoft will have a basic Windows 11 that you could upgrade to keep those old computers running. However, this article talks about how developers have found in development versions of Windows 10 a new function that will tell you that you're running Windows 11 on a computer that is not compatible. And it's warning you that you may not get security updates in the future, and that you may not get support in the future. It's interesting. I don't know if we need it. I mean, if anybody wants to say anything on it or has an opinion on it, the article will give you some insight into what the speculation behind what's going on. But what is interesting is that if you were one of those people that have taken a Windows 10 questionable Windows 11 computer and upgraded to Windows 11, there's a chance that you might start getting messages in the future saying, this computer should not be running Windows 11. And then I guess what you'd be encouraged to do would be to wipe it out and put Windows 10 back on it. No, nothing. Nobody cares. How about this one? Dad takes down town's internet when he's trying to keep his kids offline. Did you guys see this in France? This, I'll put that link here too. Apparently
for 3 days.
well, for
Apparently-
3 weeks, from midnight
Yeah,
to
3
3
weeks.
in the morning. From midnight to 3 in the morning, this French town would lose their internet and cell services. And the story behind it is that this father was desperately trying to keep his teenagers offline so they go to bed. And he bought a jammer online. And he set it up to be on, broadcasting in his house from midnight to 3 in the morning every evening. Eventually, he got tracked down by the French equivalents of the FCC. And he's being brought up on charges and could face jail time because jammers are illegal in France. But he brought down the city's cell service, and general internet access would get disrupted every night. Chester, did you say 3 weeks? I didn't read that, but that's funny.
Yeah, I think it's been going on for 3 weeks. I
3
didn't read
weeks.
the whole article, but I read a little bit.
Well, that's an eye-opener if you're living in some area where all of a sudden you're having random internet cell phone problems. Who knows? Maybe there's one of these jammers being used in your area.
Well, it certainly wouldn't be between 2 and 3 in the morning. Then.
Yeah, you're not up surfing Pornhub at 2 or 3 in the morning, Chester.
Wouldn't affect me any.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to say me neither. I'm asleep. I'm in bed at that time. Anybody bring any other
What about your children, Scott?
Yeah.
Are they in bed at that time?
Who knows? They're teenagers.
Yeah.
I do use a mesh network, and last year we got to the point where I did put a time limit on their internet. So, and it's just theirs. And it came about, I don't know if we've talked about this before. It came about with a dispute between me and my eldest, where she made the mistake of answering my statement of, "You're lucky I don't limit your internet." And she said, "I think you should just try," like challenging me. And I'm like, that was the wrong thing to say, because I work in IT and that's all I do is stuff like this. And so that's when I got into parent controls, and I've got all their devices identified, and I can press a button on my phone and turn them all off the internet. And she was sad to find out how easy it was. And now
I wonder if you could use a timer on the router's power supply.
Well, you could, but these new software-driven mesh networks like the TP-Link that we use, these decos, that stuff's already built into it. I can assign profiles. I've got a profile for each child, and I've got their devices all listed under that profile, and I can set time periods for them specifically, or time periods in general. Or I can just have an off and on button. I can just stop their internet. And there have been times where I don't get the attention as quick as I need, and I just turn off the internet. All of a sudden, they're looking for me. What's going on? Internet's gone. But there's a good chance there would be parental controls within that as well. But these kinds of controls have grown at the same time this mesh technology has grown. And so you typically associate those kinds of parental controls with mesh networks because they've just happened at the same time. And they're referred to as parental controls, but that's just the terminology. That's what we call them. You could use them on anyone. You could have customers. You could have customer profiles that are using your network, or office profiles that are using your network. You use parental controls to limit their access and availability. Fred, I saw you had something to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you remember when we first got on today, I was asking you about power strips.
Yeah, we were
And-
talking about power strips. Everybody missed it except Fred.
Anyway, I got an article and I stuck it out in the in-call messages. And
I missed it, and I don't have it now because the meat changed. Do you want to send it again?
I sent it to the second meet also.
Oh, great. Oh, there it is. Good. Let me make sure I get it up.
So, Fred, I got kind of an answer for you on the generators on board the cruise ships. They use a thing called a line conditioner, and it goes in between the generator and where it goes out for the power for the rest of the ship. I've had them on a fishing boat I worked on years ago, and it was in between all of our navigation electronics and the generator on the boat. And then in the lab I ran out in King Cove, we had to put a line conditioner in where the power came into my trailer because I kept frying scales and having other problems.
Fred has provided a link. This is interesting. You guys were not part of this discussion earlier, but how to deal with if you should be bringing surge protection on your cruise. And this is an article that breaks down exactly what they're talking about.
It's my power strip.
Yeah.
That does not have a surge protector built in it. That was one thing. And number two, the other thing I got out of that, you can't use extension cords at all.
I'm betting this is a mix of technical constraints with safety constraints.
Well, I figured the extension cord is safety.
Yeah.
Well, the extension cords and just as safe for cruise ships.
This is my one of my travel surge protectors right here. This is one I use that regularly, and they're saying don't use it.
Well, that black one's laying right out there on the counter.
This thing that has no surge, no extension cord. I mean, this is basically just a bunch of outlets.
Well, it's like that one I got in the kitchen. It's got takes like 2 and makes it 6, and it's got 2 USB ports on it.
You know, as far as technically goes, one of the things that you always read on surge protector documentation is don't plug this in line with other surge protection. And I wonder if that's part of this as well, Fred.
That would be the line conditioner.
Yeah. Why would so maybe this is the same thing with because the
Well,
the
it's like
cruise.
you're not supposed to plug power strips and power strips and power strips, even though they're certain power house.
That's what we're talking about. So maybe this is similar to that. Maybe something with the way the cruise ship provides electricity, it creates a fire hazard by plugging another surge protector into it.
Well, they had a fire on a cruise ship in Juneau a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
This power strip overheated and caught fire.
Wow, I wonder if that's a general concern on a cruise ship, that you would plug in something that would surge and fail.
Yeah.
And then you've got a fire source there.
Well, if you just draw too much power through it, that'll overheat.
I think this is a good topic to keep an eye on just simply because of our audience. I think knowing what's happening. I had no idea until today that there are actually products out there sold to provide you with more outlets when you're on a cruise ship.
One thing about surge protectors, many of your surge protectors are a one-time shot. You know, you'll get a surge and it'll destroy whatever device it's using to protect it. And you don't know that it's gone and you're still using it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Surge protection actually gets used up over time or all in one shot, depending on how much impact it's had on that material. The material's finite. In fact, I don't think of a good surge protector unless it has an LED that says that it's protected. And if we haven't mentioned it before, or maybe you've heard this before, if you've got a surge protector and that light is out, that means that material has been used up at some point. It either got all used up at once or it got used up over time. And a good surge protector would have a joules rating on it, which is funny. We were just looking at this morning.
I found it.
You found the joule rating on that
So no, it doesn't have true surge
protection.
They had what they called circuit protection and overdraw protection. The overdraw is the anti-fire, so it doesn't allow the unit to overheat. And nobody knew what the other thing was, and that was the answer from the company.
Okay, well, that sounds odd. It's still odd. We were looking at. Go ahead, Fred. I'm sorry.
I use UPS because what the UPS does is it sits there and takes the line power and puts it into the battery, and then the outlets on the other side of it pull from the battery power, so you don't get the surge across it.
Yeah, that's a lot. That would be a type of line conditioner. It smooths out the base.
Yeah, but don't plug it in series with another surge protector.
Yeah, don't plug surge protector. Anything with a surge protector you don't want downline.
So when you're shopping for a surge protector, you would want to look at joules of protection, and the bigger the number, the more protection it has. Or I think of it as having more of that material, so it can take a bigger wallop at once, or it can take more little wallops over time. But what's really important is that protection LED, that light that lights up telling you it's still good. What's unfortunate is that we're always looking at saving money, and there isn't a product category that is inexpensive that gives you kind of a metric on how much material is left. And so when that light is lit up on your surge protector, you're assuming you're still protected, but truthfully, you don't know how much protection you have. You don't know if you're still good for another 100 joules or for the full 4,000 joules that it was originally rated for. You just know that there's still some material left in it.
Well, there's two systems for that. There's the one that automatically shuts off the device.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the better ones. And then there's one where it's just like having a fuse in your car or the circuit. It's the difference between a fuse and a circuit breaker.
Well,
fusible links, they deteriorate, they pop, then you have to replace the fusible link. The circuit breaker style shuts the device off. Eventually they wear out, but they're a little better.
Well, regardless, you're talking more about protecting from overcurrent draw.
Yeah.
Which you should not be putting your devices in. Well, okay.
I was using circuit breaker.
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
All right. Well, yeah, a fusible link would do that.
Technically.
Yeah. Anyway, where are we at? Anybody got any other topics? I put one in here specifically for Chester. I just thought he would find funny. This is an article about a guy that decided to upgrade his TV, spent $3,000 for a new Samsung, and all he got was a bunch of unwanted ads. And I wanted you to read his experience and let us know if you're feeling the same way about your new TV.
You know, I saw that article, and I didn't read the article, but I saw the headline, and I've had nothing like that happen. I don't get any ads like that.
Yeah, I think that in many times, like, for example, the Fire Stick that we stick into, I love the Fire Stick 4K, specifically the Fire Stick 4K. I love it so much that if you have the original Fire Stick, I recommend going and getting a 4K, and you will love that a whole lot more than your original Fire Stick.
I'll also note that I haven't gotten into this yet, but Samsung has their own movie set. There are a lot of movies that are available, which I have not tapped into. They're in the 1000 series, so I'm not quite sure what they are. And they may be full of ads. I don't know.
Well,
I use DirecTV and then Facebook and Amazon. So I bypass all the ads.
So you're doing all that through apps that Samsung provides from their app store?
No, I'm doing it. I'm using DirecTV.
DirecTV and their apps.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's a smart TV.
Yeah.
And it recognizes HDMI inputs.
But you basically stay on one HDMI and you go through the DirecTV box for your applications because it's a smart DirecTV box, if I'm understanding correctly. And that would be a way to avoid any of the smart TV stuff that's going on. But at the same time, this complaint this guy has about the interface software for his TV could also be felt in that situation. If DirecTV decided that there was revenue that they could generate by presenting things to you on that interface, they definitely would. I started bringing up the Fire Stick, and the reason I did is because it's constantly advertising to you, but you get kind of numb to it. You just feel like that's the way it works. It's always showing me content that I either already have access to because I've purchased a subscription, or I could get access to just by purchasing a subscription. It's always in your face, these things that could lead you into services.
I have had situations where I recorded a program and then went to watch it, and it would not allow me to fast forward.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I expect that's ultimately what they'll get to.
Yeah. Well, Insidious, I just read about a patent that was filed for one of these manufacturers. I'm sorry, I don't have any of that information in front of me, but it was another one of these watch your eyeballs patents where if you were to look away or put down the device while an advertisement's rolling, then it would pause and wait for you to return, and it would see your eyes on the screen again, and then it would start the advertisement again. I think we may be having some real developmental problems if we're going to base our future economy on advertising to people. It's gone too far. Anyway, I thought it was a cute article. He was complaining about his screen. I complain about the Amazon Stick at the same time. It's one of my favorite streaming devices. It really comes down to that balance of what you'll tolerate for what you're getting. I have run out of news stories and topics. Has anybody got anything they would like to add to today's meeting? Since we're rolling out of here fairly quickly, has anybody brought any recommendations?
Yep, I got it.
We've got shows, movies, podcasts. Sid's already recommended a book.
Oh, I got a podcast.
Websites, anything that you think that we should know about, applications that you're using. Just, this is the time to share it with us. And I heard somebody say they had something. Was that Jim? No? I heard somebody say something. I heard Sid say something.
So I got a podcast on Bitcoin in our discussion. It's called the Coin Bureau Podcast.
Bureau.
And crypto without the hype on Apple Podcast. But it got recommended to me through another podcast that I was listening to. They came in and were talking about Bitcoin. They said, we're going to stop right here. We're not Bitcoin experts. Go listen to these guys.
The Coin Bureau Podcast. And earlier you were talking about this book, Moneyland.
Yep.
Have we got anything else out there that is a have to watch, have to read, have to see?
Well, I understand the federal government is investigating the Apple Store.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, it sounds like we're in your fish tank.
It's Scott, it's Cheryl here on Bill's Fish Tank.
Yeah.
Before you came on, we were talking about the series 1885. I know Fred and Jim Cunningham, everybody's watching it. It's a prequel to Yellowstone.
Correct.
Highly recommended.
Man, you guys are going to make me watch cowboy shows, aren't you?
I think you'll like this cowboy show, Scott. Has a lot to do with a teenage girl.
Now, that's just creepy when you're 51 years old. Especially a recommendation from my mom. There's just...
And she has multiple boyfriends.
Oh, it's getting weirder. It's getting weirder.
No, weirder is the fact I'm now neighbors with your mom.
That's right. That's your neighbor giving this information.
I was thinking of you as a parent, not as a luster of
young
women.
You know, I wear mini hats.
Yeah, you made your bomb blood.
I don't know how to make.
Well,
maybe one that goes over your eyes.
All right, Jim, we'll see you next time.
Bye, Jim.
Do I have any recommendations? You know, I hadn't even thought about one, but I definitely watch content each week. What is it what we watched last night?
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, what was it?
The Paper Tigers.
Paper Tigers.
Have you guys heard of this?
The what?
The Paper Tigers.
It's a kung fu movie for middle-aged people.
Yeah, it's the Karate Kid, but instead of the kid, it's middle-aged men.
Well, that sounds sad.
It's pretty funny.
It is really a funny movie. We got deep into it. The premise is that these three guys, when they were kids, were looking for direction and learned kung fu from a master. And he dies. And so they come back into each other's lives. And it is very much a kung fu quest movie, wouldn't you say?
They're searching for the person that killed their master. Something's not right with it. And they figure, well, he didn't just have a heart attack and fall over. Something happened.
But the background isn't some mysterious, fantasized world that you have kung fu in. It's just like in downtown LA, right? It's like real life. But they followed all the tropes of a kung fu movie. But this is just like three middle-aged guys that lost track of each other, and they're trying to figure out what happened to their master. And it's their duty, their responsibility to find out what happened to him.
The background story of the one guy is dealing with family and custody issues. The other guy's on extended or permanent workman's comp.
Oh, that was the dark part about this movie was that you saw where they ended up in life, and kung fu didn't help them at all.
Yeah,
they had lost their directions.
Walked away.
Yeah. They're overweight, out of shape.
The out of shape part's hilarious.
Sounds familiar.
I can sympathize. I had to chase a guy out of a bar one night, and I got about 100 yards down the road and just standing there about ready to throw up. And I couldn't breathe. Horrible.
Well, it's an easy recommendation. We had a lot of fun watching it last night. The Paper Tigers.
Okay. Well, we ran out of Australian series, so if you hear of one I haven't told you about and it sounds good, let me know.
All right. Paul, you got any recommendations?
Well, I've started watching Space Force again.
Oh, all right. I never got finished with season 1. It's worth it?
Well, you know, I like Steve Carell and there's a lot of good actors in it.
Is this series 2?
Yeah, season 2
Oh, season 2?
just came out. Oh,
I'm probably still in 1.
you know what? I got another recommendation too. Is Inventing Anna.
Oh, yes, we watched that. Excellent.
Excellent series about but I don't know, some of it's true, some of it's made up. That's kind of the premise of how they do it. It's that what's her name, the one that did Grey's Anatomy, not the actor but the Rhonda, or God, what's her name? I can't remember. It's the same writer that wrote. Say that again.
Chandra something.
Sandra something.
Chandra.
Yeah, but she's famous for Grey's Anatomy, and she's written this. And this is somewhat of a dramatization of a somewhat true story of a socialite that was able to work people for millions of dollars. And it's played by, the actress is the blonde from Ozarks.
Oh,
And
yeah, and what a different role for her.
Yeah, she's so impressive. I don't even associate her with the Ozarks role. But what's interesting is as you get deeper into it, if you guys have heard of the Fry Festival, there's the character that put that disaster together in the show. The Fry Festival is that one where they convinced people there was going to be this huge epic bands and parties at this private island, and it turned out being that fiasco that they had to be emergency airlifted off of. So the guy behind that, there's a moment in there where she's running with the same crew that the Pharma Bro was running with. You know, the guy that bought some medication and jacked up the price 300%. And he's actually currently in jail, from what I understand, for something else, some other
stock fraud.
Stock fraud, that's right. Yeah, I've forgotten his name at the moment. Do you remember his name at the moment? I don't remember his name at the moment. But it's like she runs in this circle of iffy, influencing, talking people out of money culture. Very interesting show.
Okay, Scott, we're out of here. We have to go.
All right, Bill.
All right. Later, Bill.
It does look like an aquarium he's in.
Well, yeah,
as he towers over us. Bill, that's a great crotch shot you got there. Anybody looking for a preview of Christmas? There's
Okay, enough of picking on Bill.
All right, Bill.
Bill, I liked your trailer.
Yeah.
Well, it's a modern
out
social
back. It's
thing with
behind
all
the-
the Zoom
the
meetings and
aquarium.
everything. You kind of
Anyway,
got to be
Scott,
careful of what you're doing.
If you're going to do your test out of tequilas,
I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll make you part of it. Anybody that's interested in being, I'll send an announcement out.
Well, what I would do is come and have breakfast and be part of your experimental audience.
Hey, let's do that.
Michael.
That's a great idea. Sid's
Okay.
here. We'll make a breakfast of it.
All right.
All right.
See you then.
Talk to you soon. Until next Tuesday, Bill. Tech on.
Scott, can you hang on a few minutes afterwards?
Oh, sure. Let me just sign off of here, and we can
Okay.
chat. Paul, Fred, we'll see you next week.
Scott, I hope to be traveling to San Carlos next Tuesday.
Oh, excellent. So maybe we'll see you in person at some point.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to that, Paul. Fred,
Okay.
Fred,
see you guys next week. Tech on.
watch out. That banana in the corner looks a little iffy.
Questionable.
Sketchy.
Fred, you got sketchy fruit behind you.
Let us know on that beta test.
I will. I'll reach out right before we're doing it.
Give us a little heads up.
I will. I'll send out an announcement when we've decided. I'm thinking next Monday maybe we'll do breakfast there and do a test.
Next Monday or this coming Monday?
This coming Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. Like a week from yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See you next week,
Bye.
Fred.
That's right.
Well, this has been the San Carlos Computer Club. I am Scott Stimson with my buddy Fred Sid February. February is what I
February?
Seduary. It's fed in Seduary. Sid February. Coming at you live from the Nerd Cave here in San Carlos. Thank you for joining us. We meet here every Tuesday, 10 in the morning. That's Arizona time. You are welcome to join us. We welcome all tech enthusiasts. If you have more interest in what we're doing, check out SC. Hold of me. I can reach through the internet, grab control of your computer, and solve your problems. That's what we're all about, is international computer solutions. So give me a shot. You can email me, scott@internationalcs.net. Until next Tuesday, you all tech on, and we'll talk to you soon. Adios. That was a wave from Sid. And
Okay, are you calling me back? Okay.